Hello. Well, I do hope you're enjoying the interview with Minister English. In this particular section, we chat about the high levels of unemployment the country is now facing, the difficulties for the young and the not so young in finding gainful employment, the problems for the employer trying to take on new employees, the costs that are involved, and the schemes that the government are now introducing and have introduced in the past to help with the unemployment levels that we are facing. We also chatted about the sick pay legislation that's coming in. Many SME owners will only see this as an additional cost to their business, which in truth it will be, but there are also some benefits which Minister English highlighted. Welcome back, and again I'm in the company of Minister Damien English and Linda Murray. Damien, we left off talking about remote working and the right to work from home, as it were, but bringing us on to another issue there is the sick pay legislation that is due in over the next year or so. Can you give us more details on that, please?
Yeah, the Taoiseach would have outlined to the Dáil early in January the plans to bring forward a statutory sick pay scheme.
Yes.
A lot of employers operate a sick pay scheme of their own already in their businesses. A lot don't. We do have illness benefit and things like that, but there isn't a statutory sick pay scheme in Ireland, similar to the majority of countries of the European Union. So we are committed to doing that. It's something that the Dáil has pushed hard for. And again, it's about increasing the quality of the jobs and recognising the pay and conditions of a lot of our workers, certainly in that frontline sector. Again, some of those low pay jobs, which might not bring all those benefits with it. So yes, we're very committed to doing this. But I know that also causes great concern to the SME community.
Yes.
Of are they able to pay for this? Because again, we do know a larger company with a large payroll can absorb these costs easier. It is more difficult. So the design of the scheme is something we're still working on. It won't be in place probably until the end of this year, but the legislation will be brought forward to the Cabinet probably during the month of May, and then brought through the Houses of the Oireachtas over the months ahead after that. So there's probably 4 or 5 months of negotiations around this and legislation. So,
yeah.
But in that, the team here is to try to agree across government what's appropriate in terms of the number of days and who should qualify for it. Is it how long has an employee to be working with the company to qualify? So things like that are being teased out, and then who pays for that, and to recognise that the cost can't be fully borne by the business owner, the business community. So how to get that model right, again, taxation model, but also the social welfare model. So I'd ask businesses not to be afraid of this, look at it as a positive to enhance the jobs they're given and enhance services. And it'll complement some businesses that already have sick pay schemes or kind of ad hocly pay for sick days anyway, as well as benefit with the social welfare scheme that's there. So watch out for detail. It's still being worked on, but it is a conversation we will continue over the summer months.
I want to touch on going back to what we were talking about with the unemployment figures that we have now. And there's a marvellous scheme out there that I've encouraged clients to use, the Youth Employment Support Scheme, the YES scheme, which caters for unemployed young people. And it's a novel and very good way of getting young people experience in the workplace and providing much needed work or staff resources, if you like, to SME owners. But there's also another category of the unemployed, and that's particularly now during the pandemic, and that's the older person, the more mature person who's been unfortunately made unemployed. Is there an internship scheme there? Because their salaries would be quite restrictive, but they'd be a goldmine for SME owners if they could tap into that resource. Is there some sort of internship scheme on the horizon or some other plan to get these more mature but very experienced and valuable workers back into the workforce?
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, Raymond. And again, the youth support scheme that you talk about, that kind of came out of the last recession and the financial crisis, but it was massive high youth unemployment, and it was the slowest category to be reduced. And certainly this time around, we're saying that can't happen again. We can't leave our young people behind. So that is a good scheme. And it recognises that in the early days as a business, if you take on a new staff member, there's a cost to training that person up, and they're not able to contribute fully to your success as a business. So there's a burden there certainly for the first 6-7 months, and we recognise that. So we are looking at, and there is already, don't ask me the name of it, but there is a support there if you're applying a more experienced person or a mature person. But it's at this moment, I think it's set at over 55.
Right.
But it's quite an attractive model. I think it's worth over €10,000 to a business to consider looking at. That's in place already.
That's similar to the Jobs Plus or the Jobs Bridge.
Yeah, it's like that there, but it's worthwhile support. And again, it's to give that person who well experienced, but for whatever reason might have been previously in a very niche market or don't have all the skills you need,
yes,
but would quite quickly pick up what you need for business, but will bring the experience with them. So very worthwhile at attracting them and paying for them. And it's funny, from a lot of recruitment agencies we're hearing now, there's a bit of a push back now to going back to the person that has the experience,
yes,
and has a lot to offer. Because I think in the past people thought, someone's 58 or 60, there's only a few more years in the workforce. But now a lot of people are working to 70 and beyond, and well beyond, and have a lot to offer. So we are trying to incentivize that through, and that support comes through the social welfare department at the moment. And then in the Pathways to Work document, which will reflect the new thinking in this space and the new schemes, be that around for youth services, be that around a new internship, exactly what you touched on there, Ray. There will be a new internship model. What it's going to be called, I don't want to steal a header's thunder because it won't be announced for a few more weeks, but there will be a similar approach there, like what you just asked for, again, to encourage businesses of all sizes to take on staff, take them off social welfare. And we recognise, again, that has to be supported. So that internship will do that.
And I think you're right. The job bridge schemes, I've utilised that myself, and particularly for smaller businesses and people who are looking, who are unemployed and thinking about going on the jobs bridge scheme themselves. If they get into a smaller business, they tend to find they're doing more tasks as opposed to just making the coffee. They're actually learning a skill and they're putting their skills to use. So it's ideally suited for the smaller business.
And Raymond, on that as well, though, I mean, and like we all know, being close to work helps you get a job. So any way you can get in the door of a company, get in there.
That's right.
But on that too, though, we're trying to encourage a lot more earn as you learn. So that the apprenticeship model, the further education and training, something that I worked a lot on in the past. And there's great incentives there now for employers as well to take on new apprenticeships. And there's a lot. Traditionally in Ireland, we think of just trades with apprenticeships, but we've doubled the amount of courses that are out there. Our routes for apprenticeship, they're in sales, they're in accounting and finance, they're in IT. They're in travel tourism. There's a lot of new apprenticeships on the go now that I would encourage businesses to take a look at, because there's quite a good offer there to an employer to take on an apprentice and quite good support. So take a look at that too as well.